Well, Britain's upper house of parliament voted yesterday in favor of banning under 16-year-olds from using social media, raising pressure on the government to match a similar ban passed in Australia.
Now, this push abroad to remove youth from social media has led Canadian parents and policymakers to ask if our country should do the same. Joining us live this morning for his insights now is Jay Olson. He's a postdoctoral fellow at U of T studying smartphone addiction. Jay, there is no doubt about that. Kids, in many cases, are hooked on their smartphones. We've seen the success so far that Australia seems to be having. Britain's catching on. Front page of the Globe and Mail today suggests Canada is considering a ban of under 14. What do you make of this idea of banning it, and how complicated is it really to try to ban or take away smartphones and social media?
Yeah, lots of the complication comes down to closing up the loopholes and kind of making sure that the specific implementation that you have about the age verification works on that. And so there's lots of those kind of low-level, uninteresting details that make something work or make it not work. And so I think that the larger concern is just that making these changes long term, like what will the changes be downstream of that? And lots of researchers think that these kinds of changes will do things like reduce depression, reduce anxiety among youth, and so researchers generally think that this is a positive thing to try.
And I understand that in Australia, they've already kind of shut down like millions of accounts. I think 4.7 million. Their population of kids using phones is around 5 million or so. So quite a bit of a success story there. But you mentioned the word loopholes. So let's talk about that. I'm guilty of it as a parent. Sometimes when I just want my kid to leave me alone so I can work out, I'll hand him my phone. Once you do that, there's no age verification. They have your phone. This is a device that's unrestricted. So are these kids whose accounts have been shut down using other ways? I mean, kids are smart. They can hack into things. My kids certainly do. So what are the loopholes that we need to be aware of that they might be using to continue to access these social media sites?
Yeah. Maybe there's two main points. The first one is that there will always be some kind of loophole, right? Like using somebody else's phone, finding some way to get past this age verification that they have. But none of these kind of layers of protection that we have if we're making these policy changes, none of them are supposed to be perfect. They're supposed to just nudge us in a positive direction. And so the fact that there are loopholes doesn't necessarily mean that we shouldn't do something like this.
Right.
It's just one layer of protection on top of changing our habits and having parents monitor and that kind of thing.
Jay, in your research, you study smartphone addiction. How difficult is it to break the addiction once that addiction sets in for, kids 10, 11, 12, 13 years old?
Yeah, so changing the habits kind of varies for different people. Some people find that it's pretty easy. One thing that we've tested quite a bit is adding different frictions to your phone. So keeping notifications off, keeping the phone outside the bedroom, and for some people these small kinds of changes can lead to large differences in terms of this kind of more problematic smartphone use. And so generally there's a transition period, right? So when people are making changes to their habits or kind of policy changes like this, for some point, people will feel this strong fear of missing out, or they have all this kind of extra free time. But what we found from our studies is that people tend to adjust to this pretty quickly, and they tend to find some of the positive ways of using their time.
More constructive,
Very quickly, Jay, I understand that there's kind of some age differentials. I think in Australia it's under 16. Here we're thinking about under 14. In your research, do you study what the addiction does to certain, the brain at a certain age? For example, at what age is the brain most susceptible to being addicted? Does it really make a difference if it's 16 versus 14 or an adult versus a child?
Yeah, this is something that we're still trying to figure out now. I think the general consensus is more the later that we can push off the start of social media, the better. But this is definitely a problem that we see kind of peaking between kind of the mid-teens and kind of young adults until maybe 24 or so. And so the thought is that the further that we push this to say 16 or something like that, kids will be more mature by then and more able to kind of handle that onslaught of info that comes with turning to social media.
Jay, super quickly, I know you don't have kids. If you did, would you let them have a smartphone?
And at what age?
Yeah. Not when they're not with their young children. Probably, I would wait until all of their friends have a smartphone, and then their kind of social group has it, and then I would let them have it.
Seems to be
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Jay Olson, thanks for your time. Appreciate this. Appreciate your expertise. Appreciate you.
Thank you.